Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool.
With Cameron.
And Connor.
So, we don't typically talk about political goings-ons because we like to talk about ideas that are relevant.
Yeah. And if we do talk about politics, we actually talk about policy, like the orphanocracy.
Yeah. Actually, that idea is much more interesting. So, I was thinking, instead of the orphanocracy, take what we have right now.
Yeah.
And this isn't an unusual idea exactly, but if you've paid taxes within the last 5 years, you can vote. Otherwise, you can't vote. Except if you're over 65, you're allowed to vote.
All right.
Because I assume people over 65 are wise, typically retired, and you want to hear what they have to say.
All right.
If they made it that far, then, listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
Also, if you ever served on a jury, if you ever served in the military.
So service guarantees citizenship?
Yeah, I'm not sure for how long. I'm not sure if... I think military might be lifelong voting rights.
Yeah.
I think that jury might be like a 5 or 10 year thing. I don't think that's as...
So is this basically representation with taxation, but you can choose to be taxed?
No, you would have to be taxed anyways, but then you're given the ability to vote, which means you're thinking, oh man, I'm taxed, I might as well use my voting powers. And if you're below the tax bracket, then you don't get to vote. This also encourages, I think, the tax bracket. This encourages politicians to
raise the tax bracket so they don't have poor
so less
people?
people can vote. But that means that you get more money. And I think you should be allowed to voluntarily contribute, let's say, 5% of your wealth to the government to gain the powers to vote, even if you're not within the tax bracket. Or you should be allowed to volunteer.
Here's $1.
Or you should be allowed to volunteer. And if you do like 50 hours, then you count as being able to vote for that year.
Yeah.
Because I think there is an issue where if you can vote without taxes, there's an incentive this is sort of like Sid Meier says, you have to save players from themselves, right?
Yeah.
If I was gaming the system of life and I was an immortal, I would vote to give people who didn't have money a lot of money without them having to pay taxes. Because that is how you break the system. That's how you succeed without work.
Yeah.
I think most people have a drive to work, however, because they want to. And so this isn't to encourage people to work. It's more to encourage them not to vote for people giving them money.
Yeah.
Because they don't have money and they want money. Like, the biggest argument against democracy in the 1800s in the UK, I think it was. It might have been 1700s, was if we give the vote to everyone, not just landholders, there's a lot more poor people than rich people. The poor people will just vote for us to give them all their money.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen, thankfully, and it worked out great. However, and maybe this is overblown, a selling point in the United States recently of the Democratic Party, and this is extreme circumstances, so if the next election it doesn't happen, then that's great. But the selling point of the Democrats was a $2,000 stimulus check.
Yeah.
Now, I think the Republicans also wanted to do this, but because they're in power, they weren't trying to push it. So maybe it doesn't matter so much. But at what point are you buying votes, not buying votes?
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if my system even works. Because a lot of people, like in Canada, the Conservatives often go on a policy of, we'll lower tax to 5%.
Yeah.
Income tax to 5%. And that is kind of like, hey, vote for us if you like money.
Yeah. We will get rid of income tax. Yeah. It was a World War II policy that we should do without.
Yeah. Oh, so what was I thinking? I was thinking of a way to get rid of income tax was... Right, it was... what do you call it? Wealth tax.
Yeah. That's how you get rid of all the wealthy people.
Yes.
Like there's a problem with wealth tax.
But you know what? I think this is great for the economy, okay? This is my economic pitch, right?
Yeah.
Wealth tax is amazing. Get rid of income tax. Income tax, the more money you make, the more money you lose.
Yeah, so you're not incentivized to make
Yeah.
past a certain point. There's like levels basically you have to jump because otherwise
Wealth
it's pointless.
tax, right?
Yeah.
You don't make money, you lose money. You have to constantly be making money. I think it really incentivizes people to get out there and work.
Oh, you mean wealth tax on basically everyone's just the money you have that
Yeah,
gets
you have
taxed.
$1,000 in your bank account.
Yeah.
You have to pay 10% of that per year. So what you're encouraged to do is spend all your money just before tax season comes, which means you're putting a lot of money into the economy.
This sounds like it could get really damaged.
So the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
You can take out 110% mortgage on a house, which means you buy a house and they give you more money than the house is worth for doing it. Now, you have to pay back that mortgage, of course. But in the Netherlands, paying back your mortgage is tax deductible, which means people in the Netherlands are encouraged to buy houses. And
Is this to encourage people to move to the Netherlands to buy houses?
No, it's to encourage people in the Netherlands
Yeah.
to spend more money than they have to make their economy go like crazy. Now, Netherlands is the oldest capitalist country on earth, I believe. And they're doing really well. So I think that my system is just theirs, but impossible to implement and better. Because I think my system's better than their system.
Yeah.
The problem with my system...
Is everyone would hate it.
No, I think it'd be fine. Because people would be very rich, I think.
Yeah.
Like, would you rather be the poorest person in the Netherlands or the richest person in Ethiopia, sort of thing? Because Netherlands has, like, income equality that's, like, identical. Like, everyone has the same income, basically.
Yeah.
However, wealth disparity in Netherlands is actually the highest in the world.
How?
Because everyone is taxed on their income, not their wealth. So if you're 400 years of capitalism, the owner of Heineken hasn't made any money in her life relative to her wealth, but she inherited her grandfather's father's company. And so she has like $8 million or $80 million of wealth for doing nothing. And then a normal person in the Netherlands who has no inheritance is making the same income as her, so they can never catch up. And so they have the highest wealth disparity on earth. But the people at the bottom are doing pretty good.
Yeah.
So my system, the problem with it is not that people wouldn't like it. I think it'd make your country very wealthy, actually. But there's no way to enforce it because you'd have to say... So this is how you do it, right? Yeah. You would have to make your economy a digital currency. Yeah. And then that digital currency would have to all be owned by a central bank controlled by the government. Yeah. And you'd have to have access to every single person's wealth in that country. And they wouldn't be allowed to get Bitcoin or anything. Because the moment they can buy Bitcoin, what they do is they put all their money into Bitcoin. Yeah. And then they say, oh, taxing me 10% of my wealth? Well, I have zero wealth. So here's your no money. And then I'm going to just buy everything in Bitcoin. Thank you.
Or boys, I reckon his windows and door are about 10% of his wealth. Take them.
So I don't know how to fix that problem. Yeah. And also, I'm not an economist. This is just something I made up while I was on a walk. I was like, wait, I'm a genius.
So I had my own really weird tax idea of, it's like, no, taxing the rich doesn't really work.
Well, I'm not going to make any bold claims about it.
There's like problems, which is
they'll incentivize them to leave your country.
They'll move their wealth to Jersey Island.
Yeah, or to Ireland, or to...
So, my thought is an exponential tax on things the more expensive they are.
Right.
So basically, if you're a wealthy person and you're spending a lot of money, then you get taxed more for spending a lot of money.
So I think that already exists. It's called a luxury tax, I think. It's not exponential, but luxury goods have extra tax on top of them. Like a necklace or like a TV or like a car, maybe. I don't know if a car is a luxury good or not. But food doesn't have luxury tax. Yeah. But you would have like another layer. Like, it'd be like, all right, a car is a tier 1 luxury. A TV is a tier 1 luxury. A necklace is a tier 2 luxury. Yeah. A mansion is a tier 4 luxury.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, you could have this would require like quite the system. Well, it's like, All right, Mr. James, your net worth is $2 million. If you want to buy pizza here, that's a 300% tax on your pizza.
Yeah. So, actually, I wonder if you could use that to enforce my wealth tax. So what you do is everything you bought
Yeah.
would have a... No, I can't. No, because you'd have to somehow prove your income.
Yeah.
What if you shot everyone who made no money that year? And so people would have to at least have a little bit of money in their bank account? No, you tax transaction? Can you tariff Bitcoin somehow?
You could tariff the transition of your wealth. So if someone earned money in your country, and the only money you can use in your country is yours.
Now, you would have to have a pretty awesome country for
Yes.
people to want to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, another way you could do it, right, is when someone dies, you rifle through all their things and liquidate all their wealth,
Yeah.
and then you put on like a 90% inheritance tax. The problem with that is you could just be like, hey, son, before I die, you want to buy everything I own for $1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Why doesn't that happen already?
it does a lot. It's actually considered
So inheritance tax is pointless.
it's considered that doing what you just said is considered fraud. If it's done post-mortem,
Right.
which you can actually make contracts to make things post-mortem.
Right.
However, I know some people, what they do is
When you're 80, you sell everything to your son for $1 with the condition that you're allowed to live in his house.
basically, so I know someone who has turned all of his assets
Yeah.
into a company,
Yeah.
and he has 4 kids,
Yeah.
and his company has 4 stocks. Each one of his kids owns one of the stocks, but he's the CEO of the company, even though they own the stocks.
Right.
So everything is his, but when he dies, he'll no longer be CEO. They will be majority shareholders.
Right.
And so
They have equal divided of his money.
and so everything goes to them. And so there's no tax on his stuff when he dies.
That's something really interesting about the Netherlands, actually. So, let's say he's the owner of Heineken.
Yeah.
He dies. So Heineken, let's say Heineken back in like in 1600
Yeah.
is worth like $1 million.
Yeah.
He has 4 kids. Now each kid has 250,000. One of them squanders the money. The other 3 do all right. They each have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Those kids are now worth 1,200. So basically, wealth tends to disappear over time.
And this year is actually relatively fast unless you have a very codified system.
However, in the Netherlands,
Yeah.
that isn't how they do inheritance.
No?
You give all your wealth to one child, typically your oldest child, but not
Yeah.
always, and that child is expected to look after their siblings.
Oh. And so then, because they're expected to look after their siblings are used to something, and
They're trained to use the wealth properly.
they're trained to use the wealth, but also they have dependents, and so they will do their best to keep it going. Because if you have dependents to take care of, because a lot of the time, when someone I don't remember where I found this, but I'm going to say I suspect this is the case that let's say you have like a really wealthy dude. And he passed away, gives his wealth to 3 kids, and like you said, the one squanders it, and the other 2 do fine. I reckon the one that squander it is probably going to stay single for most of their life, or like not look after people. Well, the other people, like one's like, I have to take care of the company, and the other 2 is, I have family, I have to make sure this wealth can be passed on to them. And then 2 of their kids are like, I'm not going to hold on to this wealth, I'm going to spend, I'm not having kids.
I think it's really cool, the cultural thing in Netherlands of like, give everything to one kid, that kid takes care of their family. Because it avoids the German situation, where Germany fell apart into a billion princedoms. And it avoids the Macedonia situation, where once you become king, you kill everyone slightly related to you.
Yeah, and it avoids the shield child or whatever situation where they own 50% of the world.
The Rothschilds.
Rothschilds, because each one invents their wealth into other things.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the Rothschilds might be similar, actually, where it's sort of centralized. I think they work together to a degree.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that should have disappeared.
I think basically when you have like long family legacies of wealth, I think it's a culture within your family to be, well, like basically the kids are trained in the business and they like keep on being wealthy.
That's it. The Netherlands, I love their economy so much. And there's a lot of like, late stage capitalism, late stage
Actually, I'm
capitalism.
pretty chill with this Netherlands thing because you have to take care of me.
Late stage capitalism, it's terrible, it's terrible. Nobody's seen late stage capitalism except the Netherlands, and they're doing fine. Like they well, I don't know if they're doing fine, but they have shown that you can do stuff to make it work.
Yeah.
Whereas I think places like the United States, where they think they're the center of the world, they're experiencing a period where companies are finding it beneficial to lie to their customers because there's no one stopping them.
Yeah.
And customers keep buying their stuff for some reason because they love Disney and they love Marvel and they love Nintendo and they love Warner Brothers and they love... Warner Brothers has copyrighted the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor. So
can you even copyright a concept? Or
no, but they did. So I'm not entirely sure on the... Like, they did. Like, they succeeded. They've been trying for years. They finally succeeded. So obviously you can do something. So, this game, right? What's the studio? Monolith? That's their name?
Yeah.
Amazing developers.
Yeah.
Really great seeming guys. Made 2 amazing games.
Yeah.
Before the second game came out, the lead developer died.
Yeah.
They built a tribute to him, and so Warner Brothers thought, how can we make money off of our employee dying? I know, we'll charge people to play the tribute.
Yeah.
And then they crammed the game full of microtransactions and slowed the game down to a crawl, so it was unplayable. Like, this is like BioWare and EA.
Yeah.
But like worse, because I think Warner Brothers is actually the worst company out there in terms of like EA, BioWare, Bethesda, all those. Because all these companies are doing these terrible, horrible customer things. I don't think any of them are doing like, how can we make money off our dead employee that those people that worked under him loved?
Yeah.
And now they're saying, how can we kill the entire games industry? Because we're setting a precedent of copyrighting game mechanics, which means every company now needs to start doing this, which means Warner, you can't make Shadow of Mordor anymore based on Assassin's Creed and Batman, which means games stop being made because it's too expensive and difficult.
The alternative is you make all your games out of Korea.
Yeah, like if you just, but then you can't, I don't know how that works. Like, can you get international patents?
Yes, you can. That is one of the many things that helped out Fortnite in its law case where PUBG, the creators of PUBG tried to sue Fortnite.
Yeah.
And so Fortnite
and then Hypixel was like, and then Susan Collins was like,
well, Fortnite anyways said, all right, fine, we're going to have our court case in Korea. And then the court in Korea, Korea's law around copyright is really, really different. They still have copyright laws, but it's quite different, and they're like considered the fairest people on it. And it's like, okay, we're having it here, and they're like, let's see, it's not your original idea. You use their game system to run your own game. You use the Unreal Engine. And this is a game concept, so you can't copyright that.
And PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is based on a mod.
Yeah.
Like, the same guy that made the mod, PlayerUnknown. But you didn't make DayZ. Or, no, it's not even DayZ, it's Arma.
Yeah.
You didn't make Arma.
Yeah, and also someone made a movie, and also...
Battle Royale.
And Minecraft Hunger Games.
Yeah, Hypixel. Like, I'm pretty sure he made that, right?
Yeah, he did.
He made everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna get sued by Mojang. Just wait. I feel like, excuse me, but
Microsoft's trying to improve their image.
Yeah, that's why they doubled the cost of
Minecraft.
No, of Xbox Live Gold.
Oh.
And then within 2 hours, they reversed the decision because people were so angry. It was amazing turnaround. It was like,
well, I recently watched Mr. Bean episode where it's the one where he goes to the laundromat and he looks at the machine and he's like taking out 2 pence, I think, or whatever, to pay for it. And he looks up and it says, now 3 pence. And he's just like, oh, and it's like not cheaper, it's more expensive. And he is pissed about that. And it's like, get out the 3rd pence.
Well, here's the thing about the Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
They're paying for you to be able to use the internet on your Xbox.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in the first place. Now, Microsoft, unlike Nintendo, has servers. So they are actually giving you a service.
Yeah.
Nintendo is charging you to use your own internet,
Yeah.
which is insane, and I hate. But Microsoft's costs should have gone down over time
Yeah.
per player. Like, their costs overall have probably gone up, but per player, they should go down.
Yeah.
And they doubled it. Now, the reason they did this was because Microsoft, what's it called? Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass,
Yeah.
includes Xbox Gold in it for free. So they wanted it to be the obviously better option
Yeah.
by making their old option bad,
Yeah.
which is like, we want to improve consumer stuff, so we're going to make something people love terrible. That'll make the consumers love us.
We want to sell you the orange box, so we are going to, if you want to individually buy any game from the orange box, we're going to triple its price, so you have to buy the orange box.
Yeah, basically. That's basically what they did. Like, you save like $1 a month or something if you get the live, but you're missing out on like a huge amount of features. It's movie theaters do this actually. They'll and fast food places. Medium drink is typically worthless. It'll be like 50% less drink for your dollar than the large or small.
Really?
And the reason they do it is so that you feel like you're getting a good deal. You're like, hey, I want something a bit bigger than small, but I'm no sucker, so I'm gonna get large.
So medium literally exists just to
be useless. A lot of software companies do this too. Like if you look at like, I don't know if Photoshop has these options, but I'll use Photoshop as an example. Photoshop Student, Photoshop Lite, Photoshop Pro, Photoshop Deluxe.
Yeah.
And then Photoshop Pro, for example, will be worthless.
GoDaddy does that. They have like 3 different versions, and like so they have the demo version.
Do you want your website to exist? Do you want it to exist with a green color for twice the dollars, or do you want a huge amount of features for 2.5 times the cost?
Basically.
Yeah.
It's like basically that's very common actually in a lot of software. What is it? Some 3D mod. I think Maya has that. And there's a lot of music software. Like basically, actually, a ton of online software has that.
Yeah, it's kind of, and so Microsoft wasn't doing anything unusual.
Yeah.
And they were even letting people that had this Gold Live currently keep it at their current price.
Yeah.
However, when they're trying to make their company a customer-friendly company, forcing people to either drop a service or never get a service or take the more expensive service they won't use.
Well, that's actually interesting, right? Because, so, they got like a massive backlash because Microsoft's actually really working on their image. So, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
What they did is not actually out of the usual for video games, unfortunately.
I think they did a bit more, like, their game being bad, that's not unusual. Restricting...
Yeah, that was...
Reviews?
Yeah.
That's
a little over the line.
Warner Brothers did that with Shadow of War of all games. No, Shadow of Mordor, sorry, the first game.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're not allowed to see this because we don't want bad reviews. You're only allowed to do it if we pay you. And it's like, you have an amazing game. Your designers are geniuses. Trust them, you idiots.
Shadow of Mordor is one of the best video games, I think, of its genre and type ever made. I think it overshadows Shadow of War.
But both of them are genius.
They're both genius games.
And Warner Brothers, time and time again, is like, it's probably bad, so we're not going to let you see it. Bethesda doesn't give reviews again to anyone that gave them a negative review.
Yeah.
But what CD Projekt Red did was deceptive, and I think they also lied.
Yeah. But still, they had a lot of goodwill, and so they fell a lot further than other games companies. And their goodwill was basically destroyed instantly.
And people are saying they can get it back like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was a case of a man who wasn't good at public speaking and who was thrust into making a AAA game with an indie studio, having like difficulties delivering on time, but eventually got there.
Yeah.
CD Projekt Red, their entire company was behind this. Like, it's not like PlayStation, like No Man's Sky, right? That's like PlayStation. What are they called? Sony.
Yeah.
It's not like Sony has to rebuild their reputation.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can forgive them for being a little nervous, or like this is straight up line by the executives of CD Projekt Red because they're an indie company, which means they own their own game.
Yeah.
You can't even say like, oh, the designers forced us. It's like, you made that choice. You're in charge.
Yeah.
No one was pushing you except CD Projekt Group was pushing CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
But that was you.
You guys started your own marketing a little too early, and then you panicked when you realized you didn't have enough time.
And you straight up lied for the benefit of your investors, whereas Sean Murray, in basically every case, was unclear, and people took the best possible scenario in their head.
And Sean Murray has been delivering.
Yeah, CD Projekt is a story-based game. It can never save itself.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing it can do is like what Anthem might do. Unrelease, fix the game, re-release.
Yeah.
But the problem is people have already played the game, so there is no incentive to CD Projekt Red except to regain goodwill.
Yeah.
But I don't even think they can because no one will see that they fixed it. Like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
You see that you fixed it because...
It's a fun game now.
Well, no, it's a sandbox.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, you can go back into the world over and over.
Sea of Thieves actually did that as well. People said Sea of Thieves release was a beta game.
Yeah.
Now Sea of Thieves is a full game.
Minecraft, you can start a new game whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if Minecraft released bad, which it didn't, but if it did, you just add stuff, and then people can start a new game.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just add stuff to a 70-hour or 50 at 40, whatever it is. Also, they said this is going to be their biggest game ever, and then they said, oh, people didn't finish The Witcher 3, so we made it shorter. Why are you catering to the people that didn't love your game as much as your core audience? Like, the people that played all 140 hours of Witcher 3, or whatever it is. Those are the ones you should be catering. Like, Dragon Age 1, Dragon Age 2, EA said to BioWare, okay, a bunch of people couldn't get into the deep RPG mechanics, so make it an action game. It's like, okay, we will... So, this game sold 8 million copies or something.
Yeah.
Like, one of the best-selling games of its time.
Yeah.
One of the best-rated games to this day. It's like, okay, we want a broader audience by killing our supporters.
Yeah.
That is the stupidest thing.
I have high hopes for Dragon Age 4.
I don't at all. Like, what has BioWare done that's even remotely good in the last...
Yeah, well,
what has
my
EA
hopes
done?
is that they can do something good.
I guess EA made that Star Wars game people like.
Like, it's... Sorry, not high... I have hope, not high hopes, but... It's not faith, but I hope it will be closer to Origins than Inquisitor. Because Inquisitor is actually a decent game, but it still suffers from Dragon Age 2 syndrome.
Yeah.
But...
Well, Dragon Age 2, it had so many problems. The biggest one was they were given a year to make it, I think.
Yeah.
And so it is copy-pasted dungeons over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to it.
I feel like Dragon Age 3 is a mix between 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Dragon Age 4, I would like it if it was a mix between 1 and 3, almost. Or just went back to number 1.
It's just, I don't think... Look, CD Projekt Red could become... Like, they could do a Microsoft. They could become a respectable company. Yeah. They will never be the company that people look to again.
Yeah. They'll never be the company... They can't be the company that made The Witcher 3 again.
Like, people look at Hello Games,
yeah,
and they still don't see a trustworthy company.
Yeah.
They see a company that redeemed themselves.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, which developer can you pre-order from and trust implicitly?
Yeah.
It's not Hello Games, even though they've made it back. CD Projekt Red was that company for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never be that again. Ever.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, because don't pre-order. Mm-hmm. Don't buy on release.
Look.
Don't trust Tail World. They don't know what they're doing.
Buying on release.
It took them 12 years to release an alpha.
It was release. It wasn't pre-order.
Bannerlord is garbage. I mean, it's a good game, but it's garbage.
I have to... I have to wait for the war ban of Bannerlord for it to actually be playable.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you buy Cyberpunk and they do redeem themselves, and you buy it a year later, you get it half off, and you get a better game.
So, here's the thing about Cyberpunk, which I think is a massive, massive shame. So, I sort of had an idea what the game was like.
Yeah.
But I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, I've forgotten some of the earlier trailers I've seen. But I sort of knew what I was getting into. I was like, basically, it's like, it's going to be Fallout 4 in a city with a little bit more interaction than Fallout 4 has, although it actually has less now that I come to think of it. Anyways, and
Can't beat Bethesda beating NPCs. They're actually really good.
yeah, no, my thought there is like, holy cow, Bethesda's NPCs are actually quite good.
Ever since Oblivion, they've been putting an insane amount of work into them.
But I was like, okay, I know what I'm expecting, and started playing the game, and the intro is so weak. The intros, I think I got the best one, which is the Nomad. But if the intro had any impact on the game, the weakness of the intro would be made up for. However, it has no impact. And they said there would be impact for it depending on which one you chose. Anyways, I get through the intro, and then they have this really long cutscene, and I get through that cutscene. Then I get through the tutorial fight, which is like one of the big demo things they showed. It wasn't as good as what they showed in the demo, because in the demo they were showing off this new feature they came up with, which is you can like shoot walls and demolish them piece by piece and like a whole bunch of things. That's like one of the first things I saw about Cyberpunk, and I thought that was insane. That's what got me excited for it. That wall with a hole in it, the wall that you can shoot a hole into, just had a hole in it, and like they have a bit of like clipping through terrain. Some cover's destructible, but it's not like what they promised. But anyways, I get through that, and it's like, okay, whatever. Finally, launch the game, and I start wondering about Night City, and I get hooked on that for about 30 hours of time. Like, oh, I just want to go back and play more of this. I want to play back. I ignored the main quest until I figured out, oh, playing the main quest will give me some more in-game features. So, like, I'll do that until I've unlocked everything. And then went back to playing Night City. Then I got too high level. And I got really good at, like, just got good skills. And the combat loop became a little repetitive. But, like, that first 30, maybe even 50 hours, I don't know how much I played, was, like, really good. And then the game immediately became unappealing because I don't care about the main story of that game. The main story is not interesting to me at all.
That's funny because a lot of reviewers say the opposite. They're like, game meh, but the story...
Yeah, no, I am not interested in the story. The story is a selfish pursuit of... it's a selfish pursuit of self-preservation.
I mean, that's fair.
It's fair. Or it's fine, not even the selfish. It's the pursuit of self-preservation.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, it's selfish, but it's fine to be selfish, especially.
I like a heroic narrative. And that's not a heroic narrative. That's just my personal taste. And so it's like, what do I do with this game? I'll like play it every once in a while, but it's like, I've restarted The Witcher in plus mode.
No, jeez. Because you see, The Witcher... And
The Witcher actually has worse core gameplay, I think, than the Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But I find The Witcher's core gameplay really relaxing, so that's why I like it, and that's why I've restarted.
I don't actually like CD Projekt Red's style of games, like their latest two, like Witcher 1 and 2 are different.
Yeah.
I don't like the follow the dotted line type game. I find it really... Like, I might as well watch someone else play.
Yeah.
Not a fan of it. Something like... I think you would really like GTA. Do you own it?
No.
Okay, because GTA is like a better version of Cyberpunk. Like...
Well, that's basically what I figured is it's a better version. I just love the immensity of the city.
Like, if you don't want to spend a bunch of money, just get San Andreas and like...
I just love the immensity of Cyberpunk. Like,
one of the biggest game worlds ever is San Andreas, and... GTA 5 is even bigger.
It's just a big city?
It's multiple cities.
Yeah, I don't live in big
huge.
cities, and I like the idea of being able to go about a big city without having to risk being in a big city.
Or if you want real chaos, get that game where you're the president. It's like GTA, but you're president of the United States.
Oh, I know the game you're talking about.
I'm not actually as a fan of that game because the driving's not as good, and the powers are
they get
too strong.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think you would love GTA because it offers more freedom than CD Projekt Red's games.
Yeah.
And it's really polished.
Yeah.
Like Rockstar, I don't like their like incremental, here's a tiny, massively expensive update over and over again, GTA Live sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
they can't do that with Red Dead.
But man, can they make a polished game.
And they didn't do that with Red Dead. Actually, Red Dead Redemption on release was a good game.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be a surprising thing. I was talking to our dad
Yeah.
about Heroes of Might and Magic. We went for a walk, and he was saying, it's like no software that has like a really good menu and like really easy to interact with. Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Like, you don't.
I don't like its menu.
You don't?
No, because you have to type in your name every time you load a game.
Well, besides that, I mean, the buttons, like its menus are very simple to use.
Do you know why it does that though? I think I know what's going on. I think that a save game is actually a custom map.
Yeah.
I don't think it's actually ever saving game. I think you're actually loading a custom map.
Yeah. But it's just like Baldur's Gate's menu as well.
Oh, that's a beautiful menu.
And Heroes of Might and Magic 2 has a really good menu.
So the company, I think, I love Heroes 2's menu. The thing about Heroes 2 menu though, it's weird.
It has a secret.
If you don't know how to use it,
Yeah.
you'll have no idea what's going on.
Well, that's the sort of that's almost true with Baldur's Gate and Heroes of Might and Magic. Like, things are really easy to use if you
know what the buttons mean.
Well, not even if you know what the buttons mean. You can explore them, but it's a different kind of menu. Like the menus we have now compared to then, it's a different style of menu. It's an interactive picture.
But it's also like, okay, so I have this naked man, or I have this man with purple robes, or I have this woman, or I have this wizard.
Yeah.
And what does this mean? And then you have, okay, there's a computer, or a human, or multiple humans, or it's like, what do these mean?
Well, those menus were video games were released with a manual, and you could read the user manual on how to use a video game.
So I think the only company you can probably trust to pre-order from, but don't pre-order from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
The only company I'd ever trust is Nintendo first-party games. Because Nintendo cares. Like, I hate so many things Nintendo does, and their next game, like Breath of the Wild 2, probably be garbage that it'll be like their version of Cyberpunk. But they make polished games, and they make really polished games, and they delay, and they have a quality assurance. They care. They're not like every other... There is no company that AAA means anything to, except Nintendo and Rockstar, I guess.
And Obsidian. Although Obsidian's not AAA.
And I wouldn't say Obsidian's games come out very polished.
They come out playable, and they don't...
Sometimes they have pretty bad bugs.
Yeah.
And Obsidian is like in love with their storytelling and over gameplay, I think, a little bit too much for me. Like, they make... I do like their games.
Although...
The few I've played. Although, didn't they make Tales of the Sword Coast expansion?
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the worst expansion of a video game
I
ever.
like Tales of a Sword Coast expansion.
Like, Durlog's Tower ruins the rest of Baldur's Gate.
I like
Durlog's Tower, and I like Baldur's Gate. Combined, it's terrible.
I like what they did.
Because it took me 100 days to beat Durlog's Tower, like, in-game. I beat the rest of Baldur's Gate from Chapter 3 in 15.
Yeah.
Like, the balance is destroyed. They should have put, like, a really strong creature at the gate. Oh, they did, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually not that hard to beat.
You know what's interesting? You know Dad's collection of yellow CDs?
Mm.
He has Sword Coast in that.
Yes. Yeah, it's disc 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it came out like...
Death Knights.
You know what I was thinking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heroes of Might and Magic 2 came out in 1995.
Yeah.
After I was born, I think. It was like November or something. I could be wrong here. But I was thinking about it. Like, I was born, and then our dad went out and was like, oh, there's a game I'm going to go get myself a game. Like, it's a weird thought. I don't know why. It feels like it should be eternal. But at some point, our dad was like, I want to buy a video game. I will buy a video game.
Yeah.
Here's my video game. I will play it now.
Well, it's funny, because he likes video games.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like playing them.
He's got this weird, like, duality of, like, video games are bad for you, and they're also really fun.
But it's because he gets addicted to video games.
Yeah, I guess, like, I don't. I have troubles enjoying games.
I don't get addicted. I become obsessive, which is, I'm going to say different than addiction, because I will obsess over The Witcher for 30 hours, and then I'm done with it until I obsess with it again. But it's like, I'm not like, oh, I have to constantly play this thing.
Yeah.
It's
and then
like,
you never get around to, like, playing certain games. I'm like, come on, play it.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
And Whereas our dad, I think he gets a game and then he'll try and play the ever really heck out of it.
He beat Creeper World 3 in a single day.
Yeah.
He was just...
But he was saying like he tried playing Civ 5, which he got on
Civ 6.
Civ 6 on the Epic Game Store for free, and he didn't really understand it because he thinks Civ 2 is better.
Yeah, I think Civ 2 has some stuff, like, if you prefer Civ 2,
Yeah.
I don't think you could objectively say Civ 6 is better, because they're different games at that point almost.
Yeah, but he's saying like he doesn't need to get new games is what he's saying, because Heroes of My Magic's enough. And I've already sent it to him once, but I'm just going to send him like links to the different Heroes community pages where you can get mods and stuff.
Like Horn of the Abyss. Well, he's played Horn of the Abyss.
Yeah.
Like when I first got Horn of the Abyss, we were playing it together. I was 16 or something.
Yeah.
And we were playing it together, and I was playing as Cove, and he was playing as Barbarians or something, I think.
Yeah.
And we were playing against the computer. And I was like, looked at the clock, and it was like 11 or something at night, and I was like, man, I got school tomorrow, I should head to bed. And he's like, no, we're beating this game. I was like, okay. It was a weird experience. Like,
I remember when we played Civ 5 together, me and him.
So weird for dad to be cool.
Yeah.
A dad, not dad in particular.
Yeah.
Any dad being cool, it's weird.
We were playing Civ, and we're going along. It's like, oh, we should have supper, and they're like, okay, we had supper, and then we went back to playing it. We're going along, and we're like really deep in the game, but it's like nowhere near being done. It was the last time we played the game together, I think, as well. We look at the time; it's 3 a.m., and then we're like, oh.
Dad actually used to have a problem with Civ 2, where he would stay up until like 5 in the morning, and then he'd have to take care of me because I was a baby, and I'd wake up. Like, it would actually eliminate all his sleep.
Oh.
So yeah, he does. So it's funny, like Joe Rogan as well. You see him talk about how video games are terrible and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the people that say that have a problem with him.
Yeah.
Like, I could say books are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not quite there. There are people that do that, though. But I'm close to, like, isolating myself from friends and family just to read.
Yeah.
The thing is, I read fast enough that it's generally okay, because I'll, like, finish the book.
Well, see, I don't read actually particularly fast. I think I'm, like, slightly above average reading speed, but I read consistently. And so, that means, like, the book you read recently, I was consistently staying up to like 2 a.m.
You finished it pretty fast. I was surprised. That's one of the longest books I've ever read.
I was consistently staying up to 2 a.m. and I would start reading it like at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I'd read it basically for 12 hours.
Okay, that's how you did it. Because I was like,
Yeah.
wait, you finished this like in a week or something.
It took me 2 weeks.
Okay. Because like it took me like a week or two.
Yeah.
Like once I started.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I am used to reading books way faster than, well, anyone, but you as well.
Yeah.
Well, not anyone, but almost everyone.
It's also weird because there's days where I didn't want to keep on reading because I get to a certain point in the book and it was just too miserable to go on. That book was miserable. I hated parts of it.
Well, we can talk about it next time maybe or something.
Yeah.
But I think we should wrap up here.
From politics to video games.
Yeah. All right. Bye.